Hello, divine beings, peace, love, abundance, blessings. This is AstroPapi, and I'm doing a video on working with the Egyptian god of the underworld, who is Anubis. Now, Anubis is considered as a cycle pump spirit, and when I mention a cycle pump, what I mean is a spirit of the underworld, a spirit who is able to help you understand the other side, as well as connect with the dead, as well as channel the dead, as well as embody the dead. And y'all hear the dog barking, which is funny because Anubis is actually a jackal, or represented as a jackal. And a lot of the Egyptian gods have animal totems or animal embodiments to them, which just shows a different aspect of their nature. Coincidentally, which I think is really interesting, you also have the Aztec gods of death who have wolves and dogs that go into the underworld and are able to come forward to the other side. When you're working with Anubis, you are working with Anubis to have an understanding of what it means to be alive, what it means to then cross over to the other side, and what it means to reincarnate. Anubis also deals with karmic laws and karmic contracts, soul contracts. So if you're working with Anubis and you establish a good relationship, and I'll get more into that soon, you can actually ask and check in on what your own karmic contracts are, on what your own laws are in terms of what you are here to do in this life, because we don't just reincarnate for any reason. Our souls are being tested, our souls are being guided, and Anubis will help you with whatever your lessons are in this life, whatever your soul test, your soul lessons are. And the reason why Anubis is seen at the underworld, once a spirit crosses over in Egyptian mythology, when somebody crosses over to the other side, they must see Anubis and Ma'at. And Ma'at has the scales, and these scales represent justice. But what happens is your heart is weighed, and it is examined to see if your heart is heavier than a feather or lighter than a feather. And if your heart is not lighter than a feather, then you essentially go into the underworld. But this is all symbology, and it's not so literal. What the symbology just means is that we are here in this life to cross over without so much anger, without so much animosity, without so much vindictiveness, without so much I don't know, like this heavy sunken energy, right? Like anger, rage, grief, wrath, all these emotions, right? Where we feel victimized, or where we feel like somebody owes us something. If we cross over to the other side holding on to that, we didn't really fulfill our lesson. And our lesson is to bear witness to things. Our lessons in life is to pretty much understand our relationships, and through our relationships understand that sometimes pain, betrayal, all of that is a part of it. And in what ways can we alchemize difficult and painful situations and transform it into applied wisdom, applied compassion for ourselves and for others. And when you do that, then yeah, your heart weighs lighter than a feather. But if you're holding on to things, you're not transmuting, you're not understanding, you're not receiving, you're not releasing, you're not purifying, you're not purging, then you walking into the other side with all this baggage, and now you have to reincarnate and do life all over again. So when we talk about the underworld, your underworld is really just your karmic, it's the karmic reality that you create for yourself. And karma isn't punishments, karma is just lessons. So if you still haven't learned the lessons you were supposed to learn in this life, then you will be doomed to reincarnate and do it all over again. So that's what working with Anubis will teach you. Anubis will teach you what it means to be a soul, what it means to go through the underworld, what it means to be able to connect with, channel, and embody the dead. So if you are somebody where Anubis comes forward for you, then that means that you are somebody who can be a medium. You are able to see the dead, hear the dead, feel the dead, or speak through the dead and speak for the dead. So there's a lot of energy as an empathic being, as a spiritual being that you're already walking with, because Egyptian gods, y'all, we don't pick them, they pick us. They're very selective, and I said this in my other videos with Suckman and Netzeru. They're selective and they're bougie. So when you're working with Anubis, you are pretty much being trained or being guided into spiritual self-discovery, and also how soul energy works, in the sense of like, what does it mean to be a human, right? A human is to be a soul and a soul that has incarnated in a physical reality. And this physical reality is filled with different events and experiences and circumstances and situations, and all of these are just lessons for us to understand. So when we're learning them, we're moving forward in our soul evolution. And when you're working with Anubis, you're here to evolve as a soul, but also to then become a teacher, a conduit, a speaker for how soul evolution works. If you're working with Anubis, you will be guided to read a lot of books, including, obviously, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, because there are rituals there. There are downloads there that you'll get as well. And Anubis is a very stern kind of spirit, but with a lot of love. Anubis wants people to basically not be stuck in the same karmic cycles, the same karmic loops. So Anubis is really here to guide people to do maybe even shadow work as well, where you need to release, where you need to let go. But understand one thing: when you're working with Anubis, when you develop a good relationship with Anubis, you have a lot of protection on your side. And Anubis is the type of spirit guide, and for those of you who know, comment it down below. Like, you have like a guardian elder, and if somebody messes with you, like, it's not good. It's not good. All right. Now, for offerings, so if you want to dedicate, let's say, like an altar to Anubis, you would want to give offerings that embody his energy. Anubis really gives like a gentleman kind of energy, a very much like suit and tie, very polished. Like, I'm here to do work. I'm here to make sure that the passage of souls is in balance, is in alignment, where things are just moved forward, so that, you know, these transitions from life to death to then reincarnation are done with balance for the universal order. All right, this is big. So Anubis is a busy person. Anubis is somebody who really takes in spiritual self-awareness very seriously. So when you want to give offerings, you want to give offerings that match his energy. Like, you can give him cigars, you can give him scotch, you can give him rum, you can give him water. Water is always good for any spirit, honestly. I know some select spirits I've heard don't take water. I usually give my spirits water because water is a current, and when you leave a clear glass of water for the spirit, you are allowing their energy to come forward, because water is a conduit for spirits, so it allows spiritual interaction to come forward. Again, cigars, scotch, rum, those are all good offerings. Fruit are good offerings as well. And sandalwood incense would also be great for him. But that's pretty much it. For crystals, if you want to dedicate a space, all the way obsidians. Black obsidian all the way. I'm also seeing garnet, but the reason why I'm going to be an advocate for obsidian, let me see if I have them with me. Thankfully I do. Is because you can use it to scry. And you can go forward and scry into the underworld. And when you're working with a lot of these darker deities, obsidian really is their go-to stone, because it really does show us the ancestral side. It shows us the underworld. It shows us our shadows. And yes, Anubis, as I mentioned before, is really good when it comes to implementing some type of shadow work. And shadow work is literally just work so that we can get out of like karmic traps and pitfalls. Now, when I get Anubis energy, I get kind of like Saturn energy. And I feel like when it comes to Anubis, I can't necessarily be like, oh, like he's Saturn or Plutonian. So Saturn is karmic laws, is restriction. Pluto is death and rebirth. I get like a little bit of both. So it would be up to you what days you would want to, you know, dedicate to Anubis, whether you want that to be Saturdays for Saturn or Pluto. I mean, Pluto doesn't have a day, but Pluto is like associated with Mars, or they have this kindredness, so you can do Tuesdays. But I really get more of a Saturn energy with Anubis. I really get like a lot of like straight to the point energy. So I would say Saturdays are good days. Candles that Anubis likes would be white if you're doing any type of clearing work with them. He also takes black candles if you're doing any type of banishment. But if you're dedicating a candle to him as a type of offering, white candles all the way. Sandalwood incense, scotch, cigars, I think I mentioned that. And if you want to petition, then just ask for guidance. Anubis is a spirit where it's very much like, I'm here to guide you. I'm here to teach you. And I'm here to teach you how to be a good medium, a good psychopomp, a good channeler for those who have crossed over. But also, I'm here to have you spread wisdom to others. So if you're working with Anubis, I would say definitely have a journal. Definitely connect with Anubis through writing. Allow him to talk to you through writing, because he's going to give you a lot about how universal laws apply, how spiritual laws apply, and how we can transcend a lot of karma in this life. So I'm going to pull some cards, and I'm using the Tarot and the Nefertari for this. One of my cards fell down, and I'll see what it is. If you have any questions as well on something that I didn't cover, please let me know. I know one time I got asked in my spiritual videos to give like prayers to connect with them. I would honestly say, like, with some of these Egyptian gods, just talk directly to them. Like, ask them for what you need, whether that's guidance, that's healing, that's clarity. But Anubis, yeah, all the way guidance, all the way clarity, all the way like spiritual discovery, spiritual wisdom is what you're going to get. Anubis can support you with wealth and abundance, but it's going to be from like a very stern kind of polished perspective. It's not going to be Venusian where like, it's like, let's be cute, let's be fun, let's be like this. It's more of like, let's get the work done to then have pleasure in. So you are going to get a little bit more of a stern vibe, but it is not a bad vibe. It's just more of like straight to the point. So if you feel like, you know what, I'm kind of feeling lost, I'm kind of feeling like I just want to like get to the good things in my life, then Anubis will show you what work is necessary, what inner work is necessary for you to do to get there. So to get into that kind of like boss-like energy where you feel more in charge of your own life. The cards that I pulled out is the Knight of Cups, the Six of Wands, and the Seven of Swords. So the message that I'm getting from Anubis right now with the Knight of Cups, which came out first, is like, for those of you watching this, like, you're guided to be a messenger for source. You're guided to be an oracle, a messenger for spirit. Like, you are somebody who is supposed to channel in higher consciousness and higher wisdom. The other thing that I'm seeing with the Six of Wands is like, when these Egyptian gods come to you, especially Anubis, it's because you've done this in lives before. Egyptian gods tend to connect with people who they've already worked with in past lives. Egyptian gods can be kind of picky and a little bit bougie, and they try to remind you of your own divinity. They try to remind you of your own abundance, but I mean like the richness of your soul, your whole soul, which goes through different lives, different incarnations. Not abundance in this life, but abundance overall. With the Six of Wands is self-worth. It's being recognized. It's being seen. So you're getting that from Anubis. You're getting that from your spiritual court. But then we have the Seven of Swords. I almost get this energy of like maybe like shame and guilt with your spirituality, or shame and guilt with feeling like, you know what, like maybe in my past I wasn't the most spiritual. And I'm kind of hearing like everything comes from somewhere. Everybody comes from somewhere, and we're all here having a bunch of different rebirth cycles. Actually, we're all here having our own sort of healings in this life. So when you think about your past, remember that you're reincarnating through different aspects of you in this life, meaning that like you're gonna have periods where you're a completely different person. You completely transcended that. You rebirthed. You've already became a new person, a changed person, but maybe there's a part of you that isn't letting go of some guilt and some grief. And although Anubis is stern, like, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like when people are too hard on themselves over things that they were karmically meant to go through. So that's the thing. When you're working with Anubis, you're getting higher guidance, and you're basically understanding that some of the quote-unquote problems or bad habits that you had very young or you have gone through in this life, they're actually karmic lessons, and they're just principles of your own karma to learn and work through. The last card that we have is the Nine of Cups, which is fulfillment, self-completion, self-mastery, self-discovery. Anubis is a divine mirror for you. Anubis is going to play that role of putting a divine mirror for you, showing you your potential and showing you what needs to be taken for you to get there. I know it's the last card, but y'all know me, I like to spoil and I like to see. This is kind of fun. If this video is resonating, please let me know. If there's any questions you have, y'all want me to talk about any rituals that Anubis might want to channel for me as well, please let me know. Like, let me know if this was fulfilling for you, because I always want to make sure that these videos are a complete service and that I'm representing these divine beings with all due respect and love. So we have the Magician. You're going to learn some magic. You're going to learn some magic with Anubis too. I'm getting channeled rituals. And the other thing that I'm hearing is when you're connecting with one Egyptian spirit, you can best believe more are going to show up. So overall, I feel like Anubis is coming to you. For those of you watching this video who stayed this long, thank you. Coming to you to show you your own divinity, show you more of your soul purpose, show you more of what you're supposed to do in this life. And I'm hearing, I come to messengers of source. I come to messengers of spirit. I come to channelers. I come to divinators. I come to oracles. I come to prophets. I come to prophetess. I come to guide all of you because all of you were given a gift that sometimes feels like a burden. All of you were given this calling to speak on behalf of ascension, humanity's ascension, all through your own different and unique viewpoints and lenses, all through your own unique viewpoints, but also through your unique life experiences. There's not going to be a reader who compares to you because you have your own wisdom, you have your own science, you have your own upbringing, and you're going to connect with people who have mirrors for your own soul. They're going to be in places where you once were, and I get this energy of Anubis guiding you to be a divinator, and you're going to divine for people or like channel for people, read for people. And you're going to realize like, wow, like this person was where I once used to be. And it's like you're understanding that, okay, the hard things that I've gone through or the bad qualities of me from the past that I see, they're actually here to help me guide others. That's the thing. When you're divine, when you are here to share messages from spirit and source, you're not going to start with good origins because you were meant to reincarnate having karma to move through so that you can have compassion for people who are not in the best state, who are stuck in cycles that they need to get out of. And what better person than you, who is a reincarnated being, a reincarnated divine being, a reincarnated God, Goddess, God X, who took on a life of human compassion to then be able to guide others to their own higher self, guide others to their own inner truths, guide others to their own higher cause, their own soul mission, their own soul purpose. You're guiding them, but you have the compassion because you know what it's like already. That's why you were meant to go through some of the things you were meant to go through in this life. And by working with Anubis, you'll have more of an understanding of that, all right? So that was this video on Anubis. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. If you want me to cover anything else, please let me know as well. I'll make a second video if needed. And if you want to book a private reading with me, how to do so is on the about below. If you want to follow me on Instagram, social media, how to do so is on the about below. You can always leave a tip to support the channel. All right, y'all, stay beautiful, stay abundant, stay great. See you on the next video.